The PFL is going to continue to have challenges. The PFL is going to continue to have challenges surrounding building and promoting their fights because they are making a huge marketing and promotional mistake, and I'm going to tell you exactly what that is in this video. But before I do, smash the like button, smash the subscribe button. Helps with the YouTube algorithm, helps grow the channel. Today is a free marketing lesson, guys, because I know my shit here. I've built a business before. I know how this works. I'm an expert. I'm pretty sure I know more about marketing than he does. Just a terrible, terrible marketer and promotion. Yeah. So anyway, Don Davis, I think that's the guy's name. He goes on and he says that if the UFC and the PFL were to each put up their 5 best in some form of tournament, the PFL would win half and the UFC would win half. And first of all, if it's 5 fights, someone's winning 3, someone's winning 2. So there's a basic math issue there. But on top of that, in my opinion, which is a fact, he is going about this entirely the wrong way. It's not about PFL having better fighters, right? I mean, everybody kind of knows that UFC is the gold standard when it comes to fights. If we look at, Bellator, people have come over to the UFC, how have they fared, right? Look at Michael Chandler. He was a champion over there, barely cracked top 5, right? He almost won the belt, actually, but, barely cracked top 5. And so we have the optics, at the very least, favor the UFC as to who has the better fighters, right? The optics favor the UFC. History favors the UFC. What doesn't favor the UFC necessarily is the future, and that might depend a little bit on how things go this weekend. But if I am this guy, Don Davis, if I am in charge of the PFL, what I am doing immediately, right here, right now, I am talking about the fact that Francis Ngannou, who is a former UFC champion, who is the greatest UFC champion to have ever lived, whether you believe that or not, but that's what I'm saying if I'm him, the greatest UFC champion to have ever lived, fights for the PFL. And after he destroys what's-his-name tomorrow, right, or if he loses, right, whichever way that fight goes, I am getting on the microphone and I am saying our heavyweight champion is the best heavyweight champion in the world. Because whoever the other guy is, I don't even know his name, whoever that giant, he's huge, by the way, whoever that guy is, if he wins, our big guy, our heavyweight champion, just destroyed the guy who your heavyweight champion hasn't even fought yet, John Jones, right? Stipe Miocic got flatlined by Francis Ngannou. And so you either say Francis Ngannou goes, destroys the guy he's facing, again, name I don't remember, and then you say the heavyweight champion of the world, the real heavyweight champion of the world is over in the PFL. He is the greatest fighter, the greatest heavyweight, all of these type of things, and your guy is a chicken. Because when he was in there, when he had the opportunity, he didn't step up and fight Francis Ngannou. Right? That's what you say. That's what you do. All you do is just hype the fact that Francis Ngannou is the greatest heavyweight to have ever lived. He's fighting tomorrow. If he wins, you say, your guy was too scared to fight Francis Ngannou. He already beat the guy that your guy is fighting in November. He beat Stipe handedly, knocked him out, flatlined him. John Jones had that opportunity, but he ran away like a chicken. Right? That's what you say to get him to basically build that intrigue, build that interest, build around your champion, Francis Ngannou. And I'm a huge fan of Francis, right? I love Francis Ngannou. It actually made me so sad, his boxing match against Anthony Joshua. But, if I'm him, that's what I'm doing. Second thing I am doing, I am trying to figure out a way to get Muhammad Mokaev to come and fight in the PFL, right? As far as I'm concerned, this is the fight fan in me, Muhammad Mokaev is the best flyweight in the world, right? And I know a lot of you guys are going, oh, he didn't even show me. It doesn't matter. The dude is 23 years old, right? And he was beating everybody he came in front of. He's completely undefeated. Maybe he's hard to work with, right? And as an employer, right, as a business owner, if you get a bad review about a potential employee, you're kind of like, you know what, I don't really want that guy. And Dana and those guys said, oh, he's hard to work with, he's difficult, he's all of these other type of things. But I would find a way to go to him and be like, listen, do you promise me you're going to work hard? Yes. Do you promise me that you're going to... And then I would try to get him in there and even create a division around him, right? Because there's hype behind him. Undefeated. Former UFC fighter. On the road to the title. But the UFC squandered this kid's potential, cut him too early, didn't give him the chance to fulfill his opportunity and his life as a fighter. We wanted to give him that opportunity over at the PFL to show that he is the greatest flyweight to ever live. And he fights for the PFL. Right? That's what you do. And then maybe, right, you could make a case, and I don't think you could, that at lightweight you've got the king, right? But he's part of that team Khabib, right? He's part of that Islam Makhachev, that Dagestan crew. And those guys would never fight each other. And I'm pretty sure he would say that Islam Makhachev is the better guy, right? That's just my opinion. So, like, if I'm the PFL, that is how I'm going about this entire situation, right? The uncrowned heavyweight champion of the world fights for the the heavyweight champion of the world, the greatest heavyweight to walk on the planet, potentially the most dangerous man to have ever walked this earth, is at the PFL. The greatest flyweight, if you can get Muhammad Mokaev, to ever fight for a 125-pound belt, fights in the PFL. He could probably even contend at 135 pounds, quite frankly. You know? And then try to capitalize on other opportunities like that. Right? Because the one thing that the UFC does right now better than anybody else, and the PFL, in my opinion, needs to catch up on this, is they create stories around every single one of their fighters. Like, their marketing team is unmatched. Even for the nobody fights that are coming up on, like, a UFC, the first fight of the night on a UFC Vegas, what do you call it? I'm blanking on the name. The Apex. Right? The little fights that happen on the Apex. The first guy on that card who, like, nobody's watching, right? A few people are watching, but, like, it's not a big deal. They still have, like, a little story about what this guy's going through, what it means for him to be a fighter, all of these kind of things. The UFC is an expert at this, right? And, you know, Chael Sonnen, all these people, basically nobody is tuning in to watch a fight for a fighter that they don't care anything about, which is why you having Francis Ngannou, he has so many fans. I am a huge fan. I am probably going to tune in to watch the pay-per-view specifically for Francis Ngannou because I love his story, right? And so if you can build stories around every single one of your fighters, right? And they've got to meet you halfway. Like, they got to do it themselves. But that's part of the reason why the UFC's fighter pay isn't as, because so much money goes in, and I mean, look, so much money goes into building and promoting the fighters and the stories to make you, the audience, interested in the people that are fighting. And some people just have it, right? Francis Ngannou has it. You know what I mean? But that, in my opinion, that is where the investment and the marketing dollars and everything like that needs to happen, right? Honest to God, ask a casual fan who the best fighter in the world is. What are they going to say? Probably Conor McGregor, right? That's probably the only name they know off the top of their head. Is he the best fighter in the world? Actually, to us hardcore fans, not even close. He probably doesn't even crack the top 10. Maybe as far as, like, influence goes and contribution to the sport overall goes, sure, you could put him on Mount Rushmore, right? But as far as, like, actual, you know, being the best to ever do it, not even in the top 10. I think most people unanimously will agree to that. But the thing that makes him so intriguing is he gets a feeling out of someone. Either everyone pays to watch him fight because they hate him so much, or they pay to watch him fight because he was that guy. He put Ireland on the map. He was, like, you know, in his prime, he was an unstoppable force, right? he got a feeling out of people, which is why they tuned in, right? And what the UFC is doing brilliantly is, the guys that have it, their stars, whether it's Alex Pereira, whether it is Israel Adesanya, Sean Strickland, like a bunch of these guys who are quite famous, right? As they call stars, the guys that get eyeballs. It's because the UFC does a great job at, putting them in front of you in a way that's going to get a reaction, an emotion. So, in my opinion, which is the truth, I know more than everybody about fighting, and I know more than everybody about marketing. I happen to be the best of both worlds. The thing is, it doesn't matter if you have the best fighters. Even if you do PFL, which you don't. Even if you do have the best fighters, nobody is going to care because nobody cares about the fighters that you have, right? They got to meet you halfway. But you guys really have to do a better job, in my opinion, at telling the fighters' stories. The UFC Embedded is one of the best examples of that. And I realize money's probably tight, right? Promotion is probably not profitable right now. So that's a hard thing to ask. But in some way, shape, or form, getting the fighters out there in a way where they can tell their story and show a different side of themselves, why they're fighting. Why are they fighting, right? We know Francis's story. And especially now, the emotion behind why he's fighting now, because of the loss of his son, to avenge the boxing loss, his first time back in MMA, that is why so many of us are tuning in, because of the great guy that Francis Ngannou is. And we need more of that out of PFL fighters all around. That is my free marketing lesson. That is my rant. What do you guys think? Let me know in the comments. Thank you for watching. Thank you for stopping by.